Welcome to today. I want to know about what I want to know what it takes to be number one. What is number one? What is number one? See the card here? There's one here and one here and one here. Punch one today. Punch one tomorrow. When you bring 4 ones together, you get a free coffee. What is one? I gave you the one coffee. You paid for the one coffee. But with the one, there was a tax. There was a federal tax and a provincial tax. F6, P16, the half-life. You get the half-life, you're into the 8 heaven. 8 and 8 is 16. 8, 8, and 8, because you're in the 8 heaven, you are one of 8. Well, in order to create the 8 heaven, you have to have a duplicate. If there's a star system, you have to have another 4. So it's 4 and, right? You got 4 tires on your car. Only one motor that turns one tire. And because that tire is turning, it's pulling the whole car forward. Now you got 4 tires turning. Free energy for 3 of them. While one it's working its really rubber off. You know what I'm saying? Working that rubber off. Number one, just by understanding number one and all the things, the first letter in the alphabet. Alpha, A, A. What's the first letter in the alphabet? What's the first letter in the alphabet? And is it first? In French, it would be première. So in French, it would say première, deuxième, troisième. So première ends, okay, after 1. Deuxième, I-E-M. Troisième, quatrième, cinquième, sixième, septième, huitième, neuvième, dixième. Everybody else but première, okay, is different. Everybody else goes together. Because I guess that without everybody else and without number one première, you can't create. When you go to the bathroom, you split it up. You separate the P from the poop. 2 P's. P, poop. Double O. I can use that in the word moon. So if we understand how one dot, or the first letter in the alphabet, as consistent with the last letter in the alphabet, isn't that funny? Dernière, première. First and last. Everything else could be avant-dernière, which means before the last, or deuxième, which means second or after the first. So one would say avant, and the other one would basically say after the first. Now, when we do it in English, last and first, the initials we use with it is ST. But how can I use ST if it was last? What would you understand? If I just marked ST, you'd say, great, it's first. What a saint. S and T, 19th and 20th letter. All zeros equal 6, 26 and 19 equals to 45, the numeric value in the sun dog. Why the sun dog? You see what number one just did to me? It sent me off on a wild goose chase with the sun dog. Now, where can you find number one? And what does one look like? If it was on a die cube, you'd see number one as a dot like this, which is telling me, okay, a story. It's telling me that on the other side of this is a 6. But in between the entirety is 3.5. Always 2 sides, opposite 2 sides. In fact, we have 4 sides with a north-south of 2 sides, 2, 4. What does 2, 4 mean? If there was 24 hours in the day, right, guess what? We have to overlap on a dice. If the day starts here, and we have 6 hours, times 4 is 24, right? But what about starting the next day? Is it the crack over here that starts the next day? So we have 6 in the crack, we have 6 in the crack, we have 6 in the crack. We get to the 18, we don't have 6 yet. We have 23 hours, 57 minutes. Through the moon. Not only 57 minutes, 58 minutes, and 59 minutes. But I don't want to describe it that way. I'd like to describe it a little bit different. From the 41st minute of the DNA to the 9 lives of the cat communication in 42, DC in 43, area space in 44, through the sun in 45, again through the other side of the sun at 54. At 55, you reach your liberty freedom. At 56, it is now 11:30 and you're back to the duplication of your DNA. At 57, you've went through the electric company of the moon. At 58, you are now 2 within 2 worlds. You are now 40 and 13. Electric company has bequeathed you. And 59, 9 times 545. Back into the sun one more time. Did I do that right? The 59th hour, if I go 9 times 5 is 45 back into the sun. But the 54th minute is 9 times 6, 54. And the 45 minute is 45. So you see 5 and 9, 9 times 5, 45. And the 45th minute are in recollection 3 times of the sun. What is number 1? It is the point, it is the structure between the two sides. So do I need 8 points around 1? Do I need to encompass one total area block to count as 1, but only recognized over here as a dot? But it's actually talking about the square. You put the 4 angles in it to find the center. So if I need to put the 4 angles in it, I have 1, 2, 3, 4. Now if I need to encompass the sides, I'll have another one on this side, another one on this side. 5, 6. And then I'll put, you see, 1 on top, 1 in the center, 1 on the bottom, 1 on this side, 1 in the center, 1 on the bottom. You did 7, but there's only 6. Sorry, you did, hold on, let me do this again. You did 1, 2, 3 lines. You do 6 lines, right? You do 6 lines. Nothing gets overlapped. 1 line, 2 line, 3 lines, 4 lines, 5 lines. There you go. 6 lines, and you create that dot in the center. But every time you create 6 lines, there's 2 sides to the 6 lines. Number 1, opposite of number 6. Root 66. 6 and 6 is 12 and 36, equaling to 48, the sun. What is number 1? What is 1 when 1 comes to 1? Everything has to be, I mean, I'm going over this again and again. I wanted to make this a 2-minute video. 1 mother, 1 father, 1 child. I'm a child with 2 ears, so 1 has 2, and 1 has another 2, and 1 has a 1. 1 has a 1 in the front sex, and 1 has a 1 in the back that everybody else has the same one as the ass. Everybody has the ass. Everybody's got, you know, the genitals. We all have genitals, and we have the ass. But split the legs apart, and does the ass disappear? Then we're not really talking. Do you want to talk about the organs in the body? If we just talk about the organs, things look disgusting. When you just talk about the clean carcass, right? It's like getting a delivery of a cow, and it's sorry, I want to, and it's abattaged in front of you, and you see all the carcasses. When you see it clean, it's nice. When you see everything that's inside of it that makes it go, you go, oh my God! Look at the body covering number 1. Number 1 with the 4 legs and the hoofs and the split hoofs and the mind and the horn and all these names. What is number 1? When you know understand what number 1 is. 1 is the corner. 1 is the corner. 1 is the corner of everything else. But 1 has its own quarter. Is 1 valued at a quarter? Because it can't do anything until it grows and it's encompassed, which is 4. And we have the 2 squares. Here is one of them, and here is one of them. And this can only be created, okay, once you have the lines going through it. In this small square, this is the only way to create this, with 6 lines to create. Actually, you don't need the 6 lines, you just need the 2 lines. So you need an automatic of 4 to create that 1.5. In this one, you have 4, 4, 4, and 4, which is all wrong. Because you have a 4 square here, 4. You have a total of 16. Am I losing you yet? You have 4 corners. Each corner gets a dot, even though they're overlapping. We have 16. But in reality, we only have 9. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. The 1 dot in the center is 9. We have 1 square in the center over here. We needed to encompass it. By encompass it, we need to take these 2 squares here to encompass it, and these 2 squares here to encompass it, and we encompass this 1. How does that work? Let me see if I can do this. We encompass it this way. See the way I brought it in? We closed off both sides. It also looks like the Y and the Y. At the same time, this will be my beehive, and the bottom part of the dodecahedron, one down here and one over here. Now what we're going to do, see, this is the outline of what it is, and these lines are what boxes it in. Now, in order to completely box it in without touching, do we want to touch or do we want to actually start out here? You notice that this is a half space between here and here. So what's one? Is this one line that goes through? Here's the one line through here. And I can't do that one line until I get to here. Okay, this is a terrible video now. See, I did it over here. You see, from a cube, I end up with a card. Why did I end up with a card? I'm going to show you. Do you see the squares here? There's only one square here, only one square here, only one square here. Even though I can draw a line by reaching out to these two corners, I can only draw a line either here or here, or here or here. There's two separate boxes, or a straight line will connect two boxes. Is that what it means by number one? Or is it the one that stands up here? See the obligations? Look at the obligations. Look where this is pointing. What is the angle of this? Look, my book should be like this. The drawing was drawn on a 45-degree angle. This one is sitting square. So if I put that 45, this square, this one will point up. And because my book is rectangular, it points up to this side and not to the corner because it's not a square book. Or what would happen, right, if I would have drew this design over here? It doesn't matter where I draw the design, even if I drew it up here. It's, anyways, that's just something else to think of. Just the point of where my book is and this image like this, right? Or the book and the image, the card sitting like this. It's, I don't remember what story that's telling me. So we started about 1 and 2. It was very interesting. What's 1? What's 2? 2 ears come on one body, but 1 needs to be 1 and 1. What is 1 and 1? Inside one hole, which is 0, is the passing of an energy. And in that energy, right, is information. It's not an, is it energy or is it information? Is it relaying information that we regard as energy? And the more information you have, the more heavy set your mind is. I can't think, too much information. Stop, don't tell me anymore. Anyways, what is number 1? If we had to look at a droplet of water that fell to the ground, when would that droplet, and how much should we start with, and what heat was it at before the droplet of water disappears? I told you one story, and I started the story with, welcome class, is everybody here today? And it took a whole hour before I finished the story. So what, I started with the first word, but the first word has no significance until the last word is spoken, in most cases. So what is number 1? Number 2 and number 1. That's all it takes. 1 and 2. That's it. 1 and 2, reflection. 1 and 2, reverse. 1 and 2, but in a face of 9. 1 and 2 in a face of 9. And in this instance, with 6 sides. If this was a square, it's a cube. Or how, depending, I would cut this off, and I would have to cut it off here. I need to keep together, these 3 have to stick together. 3 and 3 have to stick together. Just like I did this morning, I have the dodecahedron over here, the dragon if you want, and when I fold it, obligation in the back. Hold on a second. When I fold this obligation, right, you end up with this 2, 2, and 2-sided pyramid. It's almost like a race car, but you have 1 on the bottom. This 1 on the bottom hits 1. See these 2, 3, 4 corners in the bottom to 1 point on top, where all folded areas came together. 2, 4, 6, and 8. There was one other piece I wanted to do on here. Not sure if this works out. Yeah, it was the split in the center of this. This is more of an obligation. See the way we had to bring things together, the dodecahedron. Anyways, I'll do this in the next video. Most won't be here. Thanks for watching.